Welcome to Michigan's WW1 Centennial News Report for October 2019. Major General Harry Hill Bandholtz. This state report for October 2019. On Saturday, December 14th at 1 p.m., there will be a World War I roundtable held at the Michigan Military Heritage Museum at 153 North Union Street in Grass Lake. It is being hosted by the museum, Michigan's World War I Centennial Commission, and also the World War I Historical Association. To learn more about Michigan's World War I Centennial or find out about events going on around the state, go to ww1cc.org/Michigan for the latest information on Michigan's World War I Centennial. One century ago, October 1919. On October 1st, 1919, the World Series began between the Chicago White Sox and the Cincinnati Reds at Redland Field in Cincinnati, Ohio. This World Series would become known as the Black Sox scandal when 8 members of the Chicago White Sox were accused of intentionally losing the 1919 World Series against the Cincinnati Reds in exchange for money from gambling syndicate led by Arnold Rothstein. All 8 members of the Chicago White Sox were banned from professional baseball. October 2nd, 1919, President Wilson suffers a severe stroke that leaves him incapacitated until the end of his presidency in 1921. The event then became one of the great crises in presidential succession. The presidential succession crisis began as a cover-up led by Dr. Grayson and the president's second wife, Edith. When Dr. Grayson briefed the cabinet, the question of succession came up, but he refused to sign any official notice of disability. He also discouraged letting the public know the extent of the president's condition. For the remainder of his presidency, Edith Wilson acted as a de facto steward and determined which communications and matters of state were important enough to bring to the attention of the bedridden president. October 7th, 1919, London, England. The first London-Amsterdam airline service began between British Aerial Transport and KLM Royal Dutch Airlines. October 11th, 1919, Roosevelt Field, New York. The first transcontinental air race began in the United States with 63 airplanes competing between New York and California. The winner was a military pilot named Lieutenant Blevin Maynard, flying a DH-4 with a Liberty motor. The race was over 5,400 miles long. He had to fly across the country and back. He managed the 2 flights in 3 days each. October 19th, 1919, Washington, D.C. The United States government awards its first Distinguished Service Medal to a woman, Anna Howard Shaw. She was awarded the medal during World War I because she headed the Women's Committee of the United States Council of National Defense. October 27th, 1919, Washington, D.C. President Woodrow Wilson vetoes the Volstead Act, or the 18th Amendment, which creates prohibition. On the very next day, October 28th, the U.S. Senate votes 65 to 20 to override the president's veto, thus allowing the 18th Amendment to arrive, creating prohibition in the United States. Harry Hill Bandholtz was born in Constantine, Michigan on December 18, 1864. He was the youngest of two children. His father, Christian Bandholtz, was an immigrant from Schleswig-Holstein and earned his living as a harness maker. His mother earned her living as a milliner or hat maker. Bandholtz attended local schools and graduated from high school in Constantine in 1881. Harry Hill Bandholtz worked locally after graduating from high school as a billing clerk and then moved to Chicago and became a bookkeeper. He enlisted in the Illinois National Guard. From there, he received an appointment to the United States Military Academy and graduated from West Point in 1890. Following some early assignments with the Army, Harry Bandholtz in 1896 was selected to teach military science and tactics at the Michigan Agricultural College, now Michigan State University, in East Lansing, Michigan. He was a teacher for 2 years when, with the outbreak of war with Spain in 1898, he returned to active duty. In Cuba, he served in the Santiago campaign with the 7th U.S. Infantry, receiving a Silver Star citation for his participation. Between 1898 and 1900, he held several different positions in the United States and Cuba. In July of 1900, he left Cuba for the Philippine Islands, where he'd served for the next 13 years. Once arriving in the Philippines, Harry Bandholtz's first assignment was to help establish peace in the islands, which then had been disturbed by various local insurgent armies, notably in the central Luzon area and also in the Tayabas province. Harry Bandholtz quickly earned the respect of the Philippine people. In 1902, he was elected governor of Tayabas province, the only regular army officer to be elected to such a high position. On April 17, 1901, Colonel Maximo Abad surrendered his forces to Captain Bandholtz, effectively ending the Philippine insurrection in Marinduque Island. Colonel Abad, who was one of the rebel leaders around Marinduque, Philippines, was responsible for the worst defeat of the U.S. Army during the Philippine campaign. On September 13, 1900, he defeated a force commanded by Captain Shields of the 29th Infantry, capturing 54 U.S. Army soldiers, including its captain. Captain Bandholtz of the 29th Infantry managed to convince Colonel Maximo Abad to surrender his forces, thus ending the Philippine insurrection around the Marinduque area. In 1903, Captain Bandholtz was appointed Assistant Chief to the Philippine Constabulary with a temporary rank of Colonel and placed in command of the District of Southern Luzon. Bandholtz was an effective commander who arranged for unconditional surrender of insurgent General Simon Ola and his forces in Albay. In 1905, he was transferred to the District of Central Luzon, where he similarly apprehended Philippine bandit leaders. On July 17, 1906, Colonel Bandholtz accepted the surrender of another insurrection leader. This time it was President Macario Sake, President of the Tagalog Republic. In 1907, he was appointed Chief of the Philippine Constabulary Force with a temporary rank of Brigadier General. He held this position until he was relieved on September 1, 1913. Upon returning to the United States, Major Bandholtz was put in command of Fort Porter at Buffalo, New York in 1914 and 1915, and you see pictures here of his 29th Infantry Regiment during summer maneuvers. During 1915 and 16, he served as battalion commander of the 30th Infantry at the Plattsburgh Barracks in New York. Then he became Chief of Staff of the New York National Guard. After the raise by Pancho Villa, he took the New York National Guard to the Mexican border to protect American interests. In the fall of 1917, Harry Hill Bandholtz was promoted to become General of the 58th Infantry Brigade, part of the 29th Infantry Division. They sailed for France in May of 1918. They arrived in June of 1918 in Brest, France. Bandholtz continued to command the 58th Brigade until September 27, 1918, when he was named United States Army Provost Marshal General of the American Expeditionary Force in France. He held this position until June of 1919. General Bandholtz reorganized the military police, establishing a military police school in Autumn, France, and advocated a permanent military police corps following the war. Bandholtz is widely considered the father of the United States Army Military Police Corps. General Bandholtz recruited ex-police officers, detectives, and newspaper reporters, and set up a school in France to train military policemen. Before General Bandholtz took command of the Military Police Corps, military policemen were simply infantrymen who were designated as military police, with no prior experience or training. After General Bandholtz commanded the military police, he sought out newspaper reporters, police officers, and detectives, and made them into instructors at his new military police corps school at Hamelin Field in France. Over 2 million soldiers in France, General Bandholtz knew he needed a professional military police corps, not only to direct traffic and guard prisoners of war, but also to investigate murders and also black market activities. Some of the pictures you are seeing here were taken by General Bandholtz himself of his military police corps, doing various jobs, riding motorcycles, directing traffic, guarding prisoners, and also checking the credentials of war correspondents. General Pershing chose General Bandholtz to become the Provost Marshal General of the American Expeditionary Force in France because he knew General Bandholtz from the Philippine insurrection 20 years before. General Bandholtz and his leadership created a professional military police force for the American Expeditionary Force in France. The military police force under General Bandholtz expanded its capabilities greatly. Besides his guarding prisoners and police in the military, they now protected military installations, investigated criminal activities, and also investigated espionage. General Bandholtz was truly the father of the military police corps. Between August 1919 and February 9, 1920, General Bandholtz was the U.S. representative to the Inter-Allied Supreme Command military mission in Hungary. The military mission was charged with disarming the Hungarian military and supervising the withdrawal of Serbian and Romanian armies, which occupy the territory of Hungary. General Bandholtz's time in Hungary was remembered for two important events. The first was he prevented the arrest of Hungarian Prime Minister István Federic by the Romanians. The second happened on October 5, 1919, at the Hungarian National Museum, in which he prevented Romanian soldiers from taking artifacts from the museum. He was armed only with his riding crop. General Bandholtz locked the doors and placed signs that read, "This door sealed by order of Inter-Allied Military Commission, H. Bandholtz, President of the day, October 5, 1919. General Bandholtz's censor stamp and riding crop were later donated to the Hungarian National Museum and are on display there. In 1936, the Hungarian government commissioned a statue in honor of Major General Bandholtz and placed it in Liberty Square across from the U.S. Embassy in Buda-Pest. The plaque below the statue has a quote from General Bandholtz: "I simply carried out my instructions of my government as I understood them, and as an officer and a gentleman of the United States Army." The statue was made by prominent Hungarian sculptor Miklós Ligeti, and it depicts Major General Bandholtz with his riding crop in one hand. According to popular legend about his standoff with the looting Romanian soldiers, he persuaded them to stop their actions with nothing more than his riding crop and the force of his personality. The Romanian government objected to the memorial to Major General Bandholtz. They requested that the United States ambassador refrain from attending the dedication ceremony, but American diplomats of lesser rank were present. After World War II, the statue was repaired, but in 1949 it was removed by the new communist government that had come to power. The statue was returned to its original place in front of the U.S. Embassy on July 6, 1989, and the inscription was restored in 1993 after the fall of the Soviet Union.